We tell stories of human. Way, not with artificial voices or AI slop. In the end, what's HFI without? Humanity? Subscribe to keep it this way. My name is Amir Sohal. Let's begin. The signal was weak. It came and went like a dying breath, lost in the deep silence of space. Most stations ignored it. Old colonies often sent broken signals. It was nothing new, but this one was different. This is Colony E17. If anyone hears this, do not trust them. Static cut the message. A scream followed, then silence. Far away, on a small and forgotten planet. The truth behind that message was still unfolding. Colony E17 was never meant to be important. It was built on a quiet world with soft winds and wide green land. There were no large cities, no big machines, no military bases. Only simple homes, small farms, and people trying to live peaceful lives. They had left Earth years ago, not because they wanted adventure, but because they had no choice. Many of them were refugees, workers, or people who just wanted a second chance. Life was simple. Wake up, work, eat, sleep. No wars, no fear. At least that was what they believed. On the morning, everything changed. The sky looked strange. It started as a shadow. At first, people thought it was a storm. The sun slowly disappeared behind something dark. Children stopped playing. Farmers looked up from their fields. The shadow grew larger. Then someone saw the shape. Ships. Huge ships. They were not human. They covered the sky like metal mountains. Cold. Silent. Watching. Panic spread quickly. People ran back to their homes. Doors locked. Windows closed. Some cried. Some prayed. No one knew what to do. The colony had no weapons. No defense system. Nothing. They were never supposed to face something like this. In the center of the colony, inside a small control building, a group of leaders gathered. Marcus Hale stood at the front. He was not a soldier anymore. Not officially. But everyone knew his past. His calm face and sharp eyes told a different story. He had seen war before. And right now, he knew this was the beginning of one. Any communication? He asked. A young technician shook his head. Nothing clear. Just signals, unknown language. Marcus looked at the screen. Strange symbols flashed across it. Then suddenly, the speakers came alive. A voice filled the room. Cold, deep, not human. We have arrived. Everyone froze. The voice continued. This world is now under our claim. You will evacuate immediately. The words were simple. The meaning was clear. They were not asking. They were ordering. Outside, the ship slowly moved lower. People watched from their homes, fear growing with every second. A mother held her child tightly. Are they going to hurt us? The child asked. She did not answer. She couldn't. Back in the control room, tension filled the air. We can't fight them, one leader said. Look at those ships. We don't stand a chance. Another added, maybe we should talk, negotiate. Marcus stayed silent for a moment. Then he spoke. They didn't come to talk. The room went quiet. They came to take. The alien voice returned. You have 48 hours. After that, removal will begin. The message ended. No more words. No more signals. Just silence again. That night, no one slept. Lights stayed on across the colony. Families packed their things, not knowing where to go. Some tried to fix old ships. Others prepared to leave on foot, even though there was nowhere to run. Fear was everywhere. But in the shadows, something else was happening. Marcus walked alone to the edge of the colony. The wind was cold. The ground beneath his boots felt hard. He stopped near a large open field. A few people were already there, waiting. They were not farmers. They were not workers. They stood straight, silent, watching him. Old soldiers, just like him. One of them stepped forward. You saw the ships, he said. Marcus nodded. They think we're weak. Marcus looked up at the sky. The ships hovered like silent giants. Good, he said quietly. The next morning, something strange began. Instead of preparing to leave, people started digging. Large machines came out from storage. Old tools were used again. Huge pits were being made in the ground. Deep, wide, across the fields. Children were moved into underground shelters. Supplies were taken below. Doors were sealed. To an outsider, it looked like fear, like people preparing for death. But inside the control building, the mood had changed. It was no longer fear. It was focus. A young technician approached Marcus. "Sir, I don't understand. Why are we digging?" Marcus looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "Because they're coming down." The technician frowned. "And when they do?" Marcus turned toward the screen. His eyes were calm. "We make sure they don't go back." Above, one of the alien ships moved lower. A small group of smaller crafts separated from it. They were coming down, landing. The invasion had begun. Inside the underground tunnels, people waited in silence. Some held weapons, old weapons, hidden for years. They were not supposed to be used again. But now they were ready. The first alien unit touched the ground. Tall figures stepped out. Their armor was dark and smooth. Their movements were slow, but confident. They looked around the empty land. No resistance. No attack. Just the silence. One of them spoke into a device. No threat detected. From far away, hidden eyes watched them. Marcus stood behind a small ridge. Beside him, the old soldiers waited. No one moved. No one spoke. One of the aliens walked forward, toward the open field, toward the freshly dug ground. Marcus raised his hand, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. Far above, the massive ships continued to watch, waiting, believing, certain of their victory. Marcus lowered his hand and whispered one word. "Now." The ground beneath the alien unit shifted, then collapsed. Their screams echoed across the empty field. And deep below, something moved in the darkness. Back in space, the same weak signal tried to send again. "This is Colony E-17 if anyone hears this." Static, heavy breathing. Then one final line. "They thought we were helpless." A pause. A distant explosion. They were wrong. The signal died. But the story had just begun. They rose sharp and sudden from collapsing ground, then vanished into a heavy silence. Dust filled the air. The open field that looked empty only seconds before was now broken, its surface torn apart like a wound. The alien unit was gone. Swallowed. Marcus Hale did not move. He stood still, watching the dust settle. Around him, the hidden soldiers remained in position. No one cheered. No one spoke. This was not victory. This was only the beginning. "Did we get them all?" One of the younger men whispered. Marcus kept his eyes on the field. "No," he said quietly. "We got the first mistake." Above them, the massive alien ships shifted. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the sky. The ships were reacting. Inside the control building, alarms began to flash. "They've detected the loss of the ground team," the technician shouted. Another voice followed, nervous and shaking. "We're picking up new signals. They're scanning the surface." Marcus turned and walked back toward the building. His pace was calm, but his mind was moving fast. "They won't rush again," he said. "Not after that." Inside, the screen showed movement. More small crafts were leaving the main ships, but this time they were slower, careful, watching, learning. "They're changing tactics," one of the leaders said. Marcus nodded. "Good. That means they're thinking." He looked at the map of the colony. "And thinking enemies make better mistakes." Outside, the wind carried the last of the dust away. The broken ground revealed nothing now, just darkness below. No bodies, no movement, only silence. In the distance, a second alien unit landed. This time, they did not walk forward blindly. They spread out, weapons ready, scanning everything. Hidden beneath the surface, deep in narrow tunnels, human eyes watched through small cameras. Every step the aliens took was tracked, every movement recorded. "They're smarter than before," the technician whispered. Marcus stood behind him. "Yes," he said, "but not enough." A soldier beside Marcus leaned closer. "Should we trigger the next trap?" Marcus shook his head. "No, let them walk." On the surface, the alien squad moved slowly across the land. Their armor reflected the pale light. Their heads turned in sharp, precise motions. They were searching, but they were not afraid. Not yet. One of them stopped near a large pit. He scanned the edge, then spoke into his device. Ground instability detected. Possible defensive measure. Another responded. Proceed with caution. Do not engage unknown terrain. Marcus watched this through the screen. A small smile touched his face. They learn fast, he said. Then we need to move faster. One of the leaders replied. Marcus nodded. Prepare phase 2. Deep below the surface. The colony was alive. This was the part no outsider would ever see. Long tunnels stretched under the entire settlement. Old steel doors. Hidden rooms. Weapons locked away for years. People moved quickly now. Not like farmers. Not like civilians. Like trained units. Children sat quietly in secured rooms. They were not crying anymore. They had been told what to do. Stay silent. Stay safe. Above them, their parents were no longer just parents. They were fighters. In one underground chamber, an older man opened a long metal case. Inside, rows of weapons rested. Clean. Maintained. Waiting. He picked one up slowly. It's time, he whispered. Back on the surface, the alien squad reached the center of the colony. Empty houses stood around them. Doors open. Lights off. No signs of life. They've abandoned the area, one alien said. Another replied, unlikely. Thermal scans show heat below surface. That was when everything changed. In the control room, a sharp beep cut through the air. They found us, the technician said. Marcus stepped forward. Good. On the surface, one alien pointed his weapon at the ground. Life forms detected beneath. Preparing breach. Marcus raised his hand again. But this time, he did not give a signal. Wait, he said. The room froze. Sir, the technician asked. If we attack now, we show them everything, Marcus said. Let them think they are winning. Above, the alien raised his weapon. A bright beam fired into the ground. The surface cracked open. Inside the tunnels, people felt the impact. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights flickered. But no one moved. No one panicked. They're coming in, a soldier whispered. Marcus spoke into the comm. Hold your positions. The ground broke open. A narrow path into the underground was revealed. Dark, silent. The alien squad stood at the entrance. They paused, watching, listening. Then one of them stepped forward, into the darkness. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. Now they enter our world, he said. One by one, the aliens moved inside. Their lights cut through the dark tunnels. Their weapons were ready. But the tunnels were not simple. They twisted, turned, split into different paths. The deeper the aliens went, the more alone they became. Signal weakening. One alien said, maintain formation, another replied. Back in the control room, the technicians tracked each movement. They're splitting, one said. Marcus nodded. Perfect. He turned to the soldiers beside him. Seal the exits. Heavy metal doors slammed shut across the tunnel system. The aliens were now trapped inside. In the darkness, one of them stopped. Something is wrong. Too late. Lights in the tunnels went out. Complete darkness. For a second, nothing happened. Then, a sound. Soft. Close. Not a machine. Not an alien. A human. The first attack was silent. Fast. Brutal. One alien fell before he could react. Another fired wildly into the dark. But they could not see. They could not understand. This was not their battlefield. This was a hunt. Back above, the alien ships began to react again. Energy built along their surface. Weapons charging. Inside the control room, alarms screamed. They're powering weapons, the technician shouted. They're going to fire. Marcus looked up at the screen. His face did not change. Let them, he said. One of the leaders turned to him in shock. They'll destroy the colony. Marcus finally looked at him. Cold, calm. This was never just a colony. Above, the first blast fired from the alien ship. It hit the surface. The ground shook. Buildings collapsed. Fire spread. But deep below, the tunnels held. The people inside did not run. They did not scream. They waited, because now the aliens had made their second mistake. Back in space, a broken signal tried to send again. "This is Colony E-17. Static filled the line." A weak voice continued. "They are inside. They think we are trapped." A pause. A distant echo of gunfire. Then, "We were never trapped." The signal cut, and in the darkness below the surface, the hunt continued. The darkness belonged to the humans, not the surface, not the sky, but the tunnels. Inside the underground maze, the alien squad moved blindly. Their lights flickered against narrow walls. Dust floated in the air. Every sound echoed too loudly, then disappeared too quickly. They were not used to this. They were not built for this. "Regroup," one of them ordered, but the command came too late. They were already separated. A sudden noise echoed from behind. One alien turned. Too slow. A shadow moved. A sharp strike. Silence. No gunfire. No warning. Just absence. The remaining aliens tightened their formation, but it meant nothing now. The tunnels bent and twisted like a living thing. Every turn looked the same. Every path led deeper. Above ground, the colony burned. Flames climbed over empty homes. Smoke rose into the sky. From space, it looked like the aliens had already won. That was the illusion. Inside the control room, Marcus Hale stood still, watching both battles at once. Surface destruction. Underground victory. Their increasing bombardment. A technician said, "They think they're forcing us out." Marcus gave a small nod. Let them think. He shifted his focus to the tunnel map. Red dots blinked slowly. Each one an alien. Each one moving, then stopping. "They're losing units," another voice whispered. Marcus replied softly, "No, they're being removed." Deep in the tunnels, the aliens tried to adapt. They activated stronger lights, thermal scans, motion trackers. But nothing worked, because the humans were not rushing. They were not fighting like soldiers. They were hunting like ghosts. A group of 3 aliens reached a wider chamber. It looked empty. 2 empty. 1 stepped forward. The ground clicked. A second later, the floor exploded upward. The blast was controlled, focused, deadly. The chamber filled with smoke. When it cleared, nothing moved. Miles away in another tunnel, a different group stopped suddenly. They had heard it, felt it. "This environment is hostile," one of them said. "Return to surface," another replied. They turned back, but the path behind them was gone. A steel wall had sealed it. Trapped, back in the control room, a young technician looked nervous. "They're trying to retreat." Marcus didn't even look at him. "They can't." He stepped closer to the main screen. "Open Channel 7. A soft static filled the room. Then, a human voice entered the alien communication network. "You should have stayed in the sky." In the tunnels, the aliens froze. They had not expected this. "Identify yourself," one of them demanded. Marcus answered calmly, "You came to take this world." A pause. "You should have asked what it was." No response came, but fear began to grow. Above ground, the alien command ship shifted again. Large energy weapons turned toward the surface. This time, not random, precise. "They're targeting underground structures," the technician shouted. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Now they understand. The first precision strike hit. The ground cracked open in a long line. Sections of tunnel collapsed. Dust and fire rushed through the darkness. Inside, humans moved fast. They sealed doors, redirected paths, shifted positions. This place had been built for war. "Section 12 compromised," someone reported. Marcus spoke into the comm. "Fall back to Line B." Deep below, soldiers moved quickly through side tunnels. They knew every path, every turn. The aliens did not. In one broken section, an alien climbed over fallen debris. His armor was damaged, his weapon half broken. He stepped into a narrow passage. Alone. For a moment, there was silence. Then a voice behind him. "Quiet. Calm. You're far from your sky." The alien turned. Too late. Back in the control room. Only 2 red dots remained on the map. The rest were gone. Tunnel squads eliminated, the technician said. Marcus took a slow breath. Good. But the battle was not over. Above, the alien fleet changed position. Ships moved higher. Energy gathered. They're preparing something bigger. One of the leaders said. Marcus looked up. Yes. The air itself began to hum. They're charging orbital strike weapons, the technician warned. Silence filled the room. Everyone understood what that meant. They'll wipe the entire surface, someone whispered. Marcus did not react. Then we go to the final phase, he said. The room turned toward him. One leader stepped forward. Are you sure? If we do this. They won't leave, Marcus finished. He pressed a command into the console. Across the underground system, hidden mechanisms activated. Far below the deepest tunnels, something massive woke up. Steel doors opened slowly. Old systems powered on. Weapons, not small ones, not simple traps. War machines, back on the surface. The alien ships reached full charge. A bright light formed beneath them. Inside the control room, alarm screamed. Impact in 10 seconds. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them. Cold, focused. Launch all units. Deep underground, large platforms began to rise. The ground across the colony started to shake. Cracks spread across the burning land. And then, they opened. Massive structures rose from below, covered in dust. Hidden for years. Alien sensors reacted instantly. Unknown weapons detected. Their system warned. Too late. The first human missile launched. It cut through the sky like a spear of fire. It hit one of the smaller alien ships. The explosion lit up the clouds. More missiles followed. From every direction. From every hidden place. The sky turned into chaos. Alien ships fired back. Energy beams struck the ground. Explosions tore through the colony. But the humans did not stop. This was never about saving the colony. This was about ending the enemy. Inside the control room, Marcus watched everything. Fire, destruction, victory and loss. One of the technicians spoke, voice shaking. We're losing everything. Marcus answered without looking away. We already did. Above, one of the largest alien ships began to fall. Its engines failed. Fire spread across its surface. It crashed toward the ground. Its shadow covered the battlefield. And where it would land was the largest open field in the colony. The place where it all started. The place of the pits. Marcus watched it fall. Open the ground, he said. The command was sent. Below the field, massive locks released. The earth shifted. The giant ship hit the ground. And the ground collapsed beneath it. The entire structure sank into darkness. Fire vanished. Light disappeared. Only dust remained. A grave. A massive one. Inside the control room, no one spoke. Finally, one voice broke the silence. That was planned? Marcus looked at the screen. At the empty field. At the burning sky. Yes. He paused. This whole world was. Above them, the remaining alien ships began to pull back. Retreating. For the first time, they were afraid. Back in space. A weak signal tried one more time. This is Colony 17. Static. Heavy breathing. They came to take us. A distant explosion echoed. But they didn't know. A pause. They were walking into their grave. The signal faded. And below, the war was not finished yet. The sky was no longer full. Where once the alien fleet had covered the heavens like a second night, now there were only a few broken shapes left. Damaged ships pulling away, burning trails cutting across the dark. They were leaving. For the first time since their arrival, they were running. On the ground, the colony was almost gone. Homes were ash. Fields were torn apart. Smoke drifted slowly through the air like ghosts that refused to leave. There was no victory noise. No cheering. Only silence. Marcus Hale stood at the edge of the largest field. The ground there was still warm. Still shifting. Beneath it, buried deep in darkness, lay the broken remains of the alien command ship. A grave. A massive one. They're retreating. A voice came through his calm. Marcus did not respond right away. His eyes stayed on the ground. Let them go, he said at last. Behind him, a group of soldiers approached, tired, covered in dust and ash, but alive. "We can still hit them," one of them said. "We have missiles left. We can finish this." Marcus slowly turned. "No," he said. "They've already seen enough." Above, one of the last alien ships paused for a moment, as if watching, as if trying to understand. Then it turned and disappeared into deep space. The war was over, but the story was not. Hours passed. The fires slowly died down. Emergency teams moved across the ruins, checking for survivors, helping the injured, sealing broken tunnels. From below, people began to come out. Children stepped into the light, holding their parents' hands. Their faces were quiet, not scared anymore. They had heard everything, felt everything. One small boy looked up at Marcus. "Are they gone?" he asked. Marcus looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "Yes," he said. "They won't come back." The boy looked around at the destroyed colony. "Did we win?" Marcus did not answer immediately. He looked at the ruins, at the smoke, at the ground that held thousands of enemies beneath it. Finally, he said, "We survived." That was enough. Back inside what remained of the control building, systems were slowly coming back online. Screens flickered. Signals returned. "Long-range comm is active again," a technician reported. Marcus stepped forward. "Open a channel." The technician hesitated. "To who?" Marcus's eyes hardened slightly. "To everyone." A deep silence filled the room as the transmission system powered up. This was not just a message. This was a warning. Marcus stood in front of the main console. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke. "This is Colony E-17. His voice was calm, steady, clear. "We were given a choice. Leave our home or be removed." A pause. "We made a different choice." Across the stars, the signal began to spread. They came with ships, with power, with certainty. Marcus looked at the broken screen in front of him, at the reflection of a man who had already lost everything once before. They believed we were weak. Outside, the wind moved softly across the destroyed land. They were wrong. He stopped for a moment, then finished. "This world is not empty." Another pause. "And it is not yours." The transmission ended. Silence returned. But far beyond that small, broken colony, the message continued to travel. Days later, the last fires were gone. The sky was clear again, blue, peaceful, as if nothing had happened. But the ground told a different story. Large areas were marked, sealed, untouched. No one went near them. No one needed to. Everyone knew what was buried there. Mass graves, not for humans. For those who thought humans would fall without a fight. In a quiet part of the colony, near the edge of the old field, a small group gathered. No ceremony, no speeches, just silence. Marcus stood at the front. The soldiers behind him removed their gear, placing it down one by one. Weapons that had not been used in years now returned to rest. One of them spoke softly. "It's over." Marcus shook his head. "No." He looked toward the sky. "It's just beginning." The others followed his gaze. Far above, invisible to the eye, something moved. Not ships, not enemies, but signals. Watching, listening, learning. The message from E-17 had been heard, and not everyone would ignore it. Back in the control room, a young technician stared at a new signal coming in. "Sir, we're receiving something." Marcus turned. "From where?" The technician shook his head slowly. I don't know." The signal was different, stronger, clearer, and only one line came through. "You were not meant to survive." The room went cold. Marcus stepped closer to the screen. His face showed no fear, only understanding. "Send reply," he said. The technician hesitated. "What should we say?" Marcus looked at the ruined colony one last time, at the graves beneath the ground, at the people who were still standing. Then he spoke. "Tell them." A small pause. "We never were." The message was sent, and somewhere, far beyond the stars, something answered, not with words, but with movement. Back on E-17, the wind passed softly over the land. The graves remained silent. But the warning had been given. Humans did not run. Humans did not surrender. And when pushed, they did not just fight back. They ended wars before they even began. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and support us. It really helps us grow and bring more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.